The barista and the star walker, an unexpected customer. Sarah Chen never expected aliens to like coffee. Yet here she was, staring at the tall, crystalline being who had just walked into a small coffee shop in downtown Portland. The alien's translucent body refracted the morning sunlight streaming through the windows, creating tiny rainbows that danced across the walls. Its humanoid shape was composed of what looked like living crystal, with swirling patterns of light pulsing beneath the surface. "Welcome to Ground Control Coffee," Sarah managed to say, proud that her voice barely trembled. It had been 6 months since the Stellarians had made first contact, but she'd only seen them on TV until now. The crystalline being approached the counter with fluid grace. "Greetings. I am Ambassador Lux 427. I have been informed that your establishment serves the finest coffee in this sector of the city." Sarah couldn't help but smile. After 3 generations, her family's coffee shop was finally getting intergalactic recognition. That's what they say. Though I have to admit, you're my first, non-human customer. Can Stellarians even drink coffee? Lux 427's crystal form shimmered with what Sarah interpreted as amusement. "We can absorb various liquid substances through our outer membrane. The chemical composition of your coffee is compatible with our biology. More importantly, we are fascinated by how this beverage seems central to human social interaction." "Well, you've come to the right place to learn about that," Sarah said, warming to the conversation. "What would you like to try first?" The ambassador's internal lights pulsed thoughtfully. "I have studied your menu extensively. Perhaps a caramel macchiato. The combination of sweetness and bitterness intrigues me." As Sarah began preparing the drink, she noticed more customers entering the shop. Some stopped dead in their tracks at the sight of Lux 427, while others tried to pretend this was completely normal. A few even pulled out their phones to record the historic moment. "So," Sarah said as she steamed the milk, "what brings an ambassador to my humble shop?" "Cultural understanding," Lux 427 replied. "My species believes that to truly comprehend another civilization, one must experience their daily rituals. Your coffee shops appear to be gathering places for humans to engage in conversation, work, and contemplation. Most fascinating." Sarah carefully layered the espresso and caramel, creating her signature pattern on top. "Here you go, Ambassador. 1 caramel macchiato, made with beans from a small farm in Guatemala." The crystalline being held the cup carefully, studying the design. "Remarkable. You have created art in a beverage that will cease to exist once consumed. This speaks volumes about human creativity and your appreciation for temporary beauty." The ambassador raised the cup to its crystalline surface. Sarah watched in amazement as the coffee seemed to flow directly into the being's transparent body, creating swirls of brown that gradually dissipated through its form. The internal lights flickered rapidly. "Oh," Lux 427 exclaimed, its voice resonating with surprise. "The sensations, the complexity. I understand now why humans are so devoted to this substance." Sarah beamed with pride. "Wait until you try our cold brew." Over the next hour, Sarah introduced the ambassador to various coffee drinks, explaining the history and cultural significance of each one. Other customers gradually overcame their initial shock and began joining the conversation, sharing their own coffee stories and preferences. By closing time, Ground Control Coffee had become an impromptu forum for human-alien cultural exchange, with Lux 427 absorbing not just coffee but the stories, laughter, and warmth of human interaction. As the ambassador prepared to leave, it turned to Sarah. "I must thank you, Sarah Chen. You have taught me more about humanity through these beverages and a week of diplomatic meetings. Your species creates community in the most unexpected ways." "Come back anytime, Ambassador," Sarah replied. "There's still plenty more on the menu to explore." "Indeed, and please call me Lux." The crystalline being's lights pulsed warmly. "I believe I have just experienced what humans call making a friend." As Sarah watched the ambassador glide away, its crystal form now slightly tinted with coffee, she couldn't help but laugh at how the universe worked. All those science fiction stories about first contact through grand diplomatic channels or military confrontations. And here she was, building intergalactic bridges one cup of coffee at a time. She began cleaning up, already planning tomorrow's special, the stellar blend, inspired by her new regular customer. Sometimes, she thought, the biggest changes in human history started with something as simple as a well-made cup of coffee. The caffeine connection. When stars align. Word spread quickly about Ground Control Coffee's unique customer. Within days, Sarah's small shop became Portland's hottest destination. Humans and Stellarians alike flocked to witness the unlikely friendship between a barista and an ambassador. But not everyone was thrilled about the situation. Health inspection. A sharp voice cut through the morning buzz. A stern-looking woman in a grey suit marched in, clutching a tablet. "I'm Diana Morrison from the newly formed Interspecies Commerce Division." Sarah's heart sank. She'd been expecting this. "Good morning, Ms. Morrison. How can I help you?" "We've received reports of unauthorized alien substance consumption on these premises." Diana's eyes narrowed at the sight of 3 Stellarians absorbing their morning lattes, their crystal bodies tinted various shades of coffee brown. "Do you have a permit for serving non-terrestrial beings?" Before Sarah could respond, a familiar shimmer announced Lux 427's arrival. "Ah, Inspector Morrison, I was wondering when we would meet." Diana straightened. "Ambassador Lux 427, I didn't expect." Clearly, Lux interrupted, its lights pulsing with what Sarah now recognized as amusement. "Perhaps we should discuss the recent trade agreement between our species, specifically Article 7, which guarantees Stellarians the right to participate in human cultural exchanges, including dietary practices." The inspector's face reddened. "Well, yes, but there are protocols." "Which we are following perfectly," Sarah chimed in, pulling out a thick folder. "Here's our updated food safety certification, chemical compatibility analysis from the Stellar Science Institute, and cultural exchange permit. Would you like to see our new sanitization protocols for crystalline beings too?" Diana flipped through the documents, her frown deepening. These all appeared to be in order, but she paused, sniffing the air. "What is that unusual odor?" Sarah grinned. "That would be our new stellar blend. Want to try it? It's a hit with both species." The inspector hesitated, then sighed. "I suppose for investigative purposes." 10 minutes later, Diana sat at the counter, cradling her 3rd cup of stellar blend, deep in conversation with Lux about the similarities between human bureaucracy and Stellarian administrative processes. "You know," she mused, "I never understood why they assigned me to this division. Seemed like a joke. But this?" She gestured to the diverse crowd in the shop. "This is actually remarkable." Sarah watched as a young Stellarian attempted to create latte art under the guidance of her newest barista, a college student named Mike. The design came out looking more like a supernova than a heart, but the enthusiasm was undeniable. "We're learning from each other," Sarah said. "Yesterday, Lux taught us about how Stellarians use light patterns for emotional expression. Now we're experimenting with bioluminescent coffee art." "Bioluminescent coffee." Diana raised an eyebrow. "Perfectly safe," Lux assured her. "A harmless reaction between your coffee compounds and our natural crystalline structure. Quite beautiful, actually. Sarah has quite the artistic touch with it." As if on cue, Sarah presented her latest creation, a coffee that swirled with gentle blue light, like a nebula in a cup. The entire shop fell silent in awe. That's incredible," Diana whispered. "How did you—" "Trade secret," Sarah winked. "Though I might be persuaded to share it during the next Interspecies Cultural Exchange Committee meeting." "Which reminds me," Lux interjected, lights dancing excitedly. "Sarah, the Stellarian Council has a proposal for you. We would like to establish similar establishments across Earth. coffee shops that serve as informal cultural exchange centers, with you as the primary consultant, of course. Sarah nearly dropped the cup she was cleaning. Me, but I'm just a barista. Just a barista? Diana scoffed. You've done more for human-Stellarian relations in 1 month than our entire department has in 6. Look around. Sarah did. She saw humans and Stellarians sharing tables, swapping stories, and attempting to teach each other their respective languages. A crystal child was playing chess with an elderly man, their game drawing a mixed crowd of spectators. Near the window, a human artist was sketching the way light moved through a Stellarian's form, other being posed proudly. You've created something special here, Diana continued, pulling out her tablet. And as the official representative of the Interspecies Commerce Division, I think it's time we made it official. How would you like to be our first certified human-Stellarian cultural exchange facilitator? That's quite a title, Sarah laughed. We prefer Cosmic Barista, Lux suggested, causing the other Stellarians to pulse with laughter. As Sarah looked at her reflection in Lux's crystalline surface, she saw something she hadn't noticed before. Her own eyes seemed to sparkle with an inner light, not unlike the Stellarians. Perhaps they weren't so different after all. All right, she said, pulling out her recipe book. Let me show you what I've been working on for the grand opening. I call it the Milky Way Mocha. When Stars Fall, the Dark Roast Crisis. Sarah's success with ground control coffee had brought unexpected fame, but it also brought complications she never could have imagined. The trouble began on an otherwise ordinary Tuesday morning when Lux 427 rushed into the shop, their crystalline form flickering with distress. Sarah, we have a situation, Lux announced, their usually melodic voice crackling with static. Several Stellarians have fallen ill after visiting imitation establishments. Sarah set down the portafilter she'd been cleaning. Ill? I didn't think Stellarians could get sick from Earth substances. They can't. From properly prepared substances. Lux's lights pulsed rapidly in what Sarah now recognized as anxiety. But someone has been adding unauthorized crystalline compounds to their coffee beverages, attempting to recreate your bioluminescent blend. The news hit Sarah like a splash of hot espresso. After her success, dozens of copycat shops had sprung up across the country, each claiming to offer authentic Stellarian human fusion experiences. She'd seen the advertisements but hadn't thought much of them, until now. How bad is it? She asked, already dreading the answer. 3 Stellarians have developed severe crystalline fractures. Their light patterns are dimming. Lux's voice dropped to a whisper. One of them is a child. Sarah's blood ran cold. She'd spent months working with Stellarian scientists to perfect her recipes, ensuring they were not just safe but beneficial for both species. These imitators had no idea what they were doing. We need your help, Lux continued. The Stellar Council is considering a complete ban on Earth beverages. It could undo everything we've accomplished. Before Sarah could respond, the shop's door burst open again. Diana Morrison strode in, looking even more official than usual. Turn on the news, she commanded. Sarah grabbed the remote for the small TV she'd installed for sports fans. The screen flickered to life, showing a news anchor with a grave expression. Breaking news. In what's being called the Dark Roast Crisis, several members of the Stellarian delegation have been hospitalized following visits to human coffee establishments. Critics are calling for an immediate suspension of all interspecies dining. It's worse than we thought, Diana said grimly. Social media is already flooded with anti-Stellarian sentiment. Some are claiming it's a sign that our species aren't meant to mix. Sarah watched as her phone began lighting up with notifications. Regular customers, both human and Stellarian, were messaging to ask if her shop was safe. Others were canceling their orders for her special blends. No, Sarah said firmly, tying her apron with newfound determination. I won't let fear and ignorance destroy what we've built. She turned to Lux. Can you arrange an emergency meeting with the Stellar Council? Here, now. Diana looked skeptical. We're better. Sarah was already moving, rearranging tables to create a meeting space. Mike, start brewing the stellar blend. Lucy, call our regular customers. We need human witnesses to testify about our safety protocols. Within an hour, Ground Control Coffee had transformed into an impromptu diplomatic center. Stellarian council members flickered and glowed in one corner, while human health officials huddled around laptops in another. Sarah stood at the center, her recipe book open on the counter. The problem isn't just the unauthorized additives, she explained, projecting diagrams of molecular structures onto the wall. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of Stellarian biology. Coffee itself isn't harmful, it's beautiful, actually. Look, she demonstrated her original technique, carefully preparing a cup of her signature bioluminescent blend. The liquid glowed with a soft, natural light that made the Stellarian council members pulse with approval. The key is respect, Sarah continued. Respect for both traditions, both biologies. You can't just throw things together and hope they work. Every recipe we've developed here has been tested, refined, and approved by both species. A young Stellarian council member shifted forward. But how can we ensure other establishments follow your protocols? Sarah smiled. That's where Ms. Morrison comes in. Diana? Diana stepped forward, tablet in hand. We've drafted a certification program. Every establishment wanting to serve both species will need to complete extensive training that Ms. Chen has agreed to oversee personally. The council members' lights flickered in rapid discussion. Finally, the head councillor spoke. And you would be willing to share your methods? With properly trained individuals, yes, Sarah nodded. But more importantly, I want to share the spirit behind them. This isn't just about coffee. It's about creating spaces where our species can learn from each other safely. As if to emphasize her point, Mike appeared with trays of glowing drinks, one specifically formulated for each species present. I call this from the Peace Brew, he announced proudly. The tension in the room began to dissolve as both species sampled their drinks. Even Diana cracked a smile as her coffee sparkled with tiny points of light. Perhaps, the head councillor mused, this crisis is an opportunity. A reminder that true understanding requires patience, expertise, and trust. And good coffee, Sarah added, earning laughs from both species. As the meeting continued into the evening, Sarah caught Lux's eye. The ambassador's form was glowing with pride. You know, Lux said quietly, when I first walked into your shop, I thought I was just going to learn about human beverages. Instead, you've taught all of us something far more valuable. Sarah looked around at the mixed group of humans and Stellarians, all working together to solve a crisis over cups of glowing coffee. Sometimes, she replied, the most important lessons come in unexpected packages. Outside, as darkness fell, Ground Control Coffee glowed like a beacon, its windows filled with swerving lights and intermingled laughter. It was more than just a coffee shop now. It was proof that with understanding, patience, and a little creativity, any gap between species could be bridged. Even if that bridge was built one cup at a time. Stars struck. The Universal Barista Championship. The invitation arrived on shimmering holographic paper, floating gently down from the ceiling of Ground Control Coffee. Sarah plucked it from the air, her eyes widening as she read. ANAOUNCINE, the first Intergalactic Beverage Arts Competition, where the finest drink crafters from across the galaxy will compete for the title of Universal Master Barista. Quite the honor, Lux commented, peering over her shoulder with a crystalline glow. You're the only human invited. Sarah's hands trembled. But I can't. I mean, competing against beings from other planets. Some probably have centuries of experience. Precisely why you must go, Diane interjected, appearing from behind her tablet. Earth needs a representative who understands both human and alien techniques. Plus, she added with a rare smile, you did just save interspecies relations with your peace brew. The competition was to be held on the Stellar Station, a massive space station orbiting Earth that served as a neutral meeting ground for various species. Sarah had seen it from Earth, a glittering construct that looked like a giant silver snowflake against the night sky. 2 weeks later, Sarah found herself stepping off a transport shuttle, her special brewing equipment carefully packed in anti-gravity cases. The station's main concourse was a riot of alien life, floating gas beings, crystalline stellarians, and species she couldn't even begin to describe. "Ah, the Earth representative arrives," a voice like wind chimes announced. A tall, willowy being composed of what looked like living aurora borealis floated toward her. "I am Zephyr 9, your competition liaison. Welcome to the Stellar Station." Sarah tried not to stare as Zephyr led her through the station. Every corner revealed new wonders. Anti-gravity gardens, holographic art installations, and what appeared to be a zero dance club. "The competition begins tomorrow," Zephyr explained. 16 contestants, 4 rounds, 1 winner. Each round eliminates half the competitors until only the universal master barista remains. They arrived at the competition arena, a vast circular space with brewing stations arranged like the spokes of a wheel. Each station was equipped with both standard and alien equipment Sarah couldn't even identify. "Your station is there," Zephyr pointed to a spot marked with Earth's flag. "You may set up now if you wish. The other competitors are already." Well, a harsh voice interrupted. They really did invite a primitive. A being made of swirling dark energy approached, trailing wisps of what looked like cosmic smoke. "I am Void Master Exile of the Nebula Collective. I've won the Galactic Brewmasters Championship 6 cycles running." Sarah straightened her spine. Sarah Chen, Earth. Ground control coffee. Thol's form rippled with what might have been laughter. "How quaint. You realize we'll be crafting beverages that alter consciousness, manipulate time perception, and create symphonies of flavor that your simple human mind can't even comprehend." "Maybe," Sarah replied calmly, unpacking her equipment, "but can you make it perfect flat white?" Before Exile could respond, a chime sounded through the arena. "Attention competitors," a voice announced. "Tomorrow's first challenge: create a beverage that captures the essence of your home world, suitable for consumption by all competing species." Sarah spent the evening in her assigned quarters, experimenting with combinations of her special blends. She'd brought samples of every coffee bean she could think of, plus her secret ingredient, the crystalline compound she developed with Lux that made her drinks glow. The next morning, the arena was packed with spectators from across the galaxy. Each competitor had 3 hours to create their signature drink. Sol immediately began conjuring what looked like a miniature black hole in a cup. Other competitors were using equipment that bent light, altered gravity, and even seemed to fold space-time. Sarah took a deep breath and began her process. She carefully selected beans from a small farm in Ethiopia, the birthplace of coffee. As she ground them, she told the story of coffee's discovery, of dancing goats and curious humans. She added water heated to exactly 93.5 degrees Celsius, explaining how temperature affected extraction. Finally, she introduced her special crystalline compound, which made the coffee glow with the same warm light as a sunrise on Earth. But she didn't stop there. Using techniques learned from Lux, she infused the drink with specific light patterns that conveyed emotions: wonder, hope, connection. "My drink is called Dawn of Understanding," she announced to the judges. "It contains not just the taste of Earth's most beloved beverage, but the feeling of sharing that first morning cup with someone new, the moment when strangers become friends." The judges, representing various species, approached. Each had a different way of consuming the beverage, but as they did, their forms began to glow with the same warm light. The empathic judge, a being of pure energy, actually wet particles of light. "Remarkable," the head judge declared. "You've managed to capture not just flavors, but a fundamental human experience and make it universally accessible." Sol's drink, while technically impressive, left several judges shuddering from its intense psychic effects. Other competitors had created spectacular shows but forgot about taste entirely. When the results were announced, Sarah could hardly believe it. She'd made it through the first round, placing third overall. Sol, who'd placed fourth, glowered darkly. "Beginner's luck," they hissed. But Sarah wasn't listening. She was already planning her next creation, something that would combine coffee's rich history with the incredible techniques she was learning from her fellow competitors. As she worked at her station that evening, preparing for the next round, Lux appeared. "You're doing more than competing," they observed. "You're teaching them about humanity." Sarah smiled, watching her latest experiment swirl with galaxies of cream and stardust. That's what coffee has always been about: bringing people together, sharing stories, building bridges, even if those bridges now stretch across light years. Outside the station's windows, Earth glowed blue and beautiful. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, Sarah was content knowing that she was sharing her planet's greatest gift with the universe, not just coffee, but the simple joy of connecting over a shared cup of something wonderful. The universal blend, when coffee meets cosmos. The second day of the Intergalactic Beverage Arts Competition brought an unexpected challenge. The judges announced they wanted drinks that could alter the fabric of reality itself without breaking it. Sarah stood at her station, watching her competitors creating increasingly dangerous concoctions. Sol was particularly aggressive, their dark energy drinks now causing small temporal distortions. Accessing forbidden ingredients. Sarah called out, noticing Sol adding what appeared to be condensed dark matter to their mixture. Scared human. Sol's form rippled menacingly. This is what real universal beverage craft looks like. But Sarah had noticed something concerning. Each time Sol added more dark matter, tiny cracks appeared in the station's reality field. The judges seemed oblivious, too impressed by the spectacular effects to notice the danger. She quickly found Lux in the observation deck. "Those dark matter infusions, they're destabilizing the station's containment fields, aren't they?" Lux's crystalline form flickered anxiously. "Yes, but we can't interfere. Competition rules." Sarah glanced at her own station, then at the growing fractures in reality around Sol's area. Sometimes rules need to be broken to save lives. She rushed back to her station and began brewing what she called her universal stability blend. Using her knowledge of crystalline harmonics learned from the Stellarians, she created a drink that resonated at exactly the right frequency to counteract the dark matter's effects. The drink glowed with a soft, pulsing light that matched the station's core energy signature. She added a specially modified version of her bioluminescent compound, designed to strengthen molecular bonds rather than just create pretty lights. "Judges," she called out, "I request an emergency presentation." The panel turned to her, annoyed at the interruption of Sol's spectacular show. But before they could object, one of the reality fractures near Sol's station began to spread visibly. "What you're seeing isn't just showmanship," Sarah explained quickly. "It's dangerous. The dark matter infusions are breaking down the fabric of space-time, but I believe I have a solution." She demonstrated how her drink's resonant frequencies could seal the fractures. The judges watched in amazement as the cracks began to close wherever her beverage was applied. "Impossible," Sol roared, their form becoming more chaotic. "You're ruining everything." "No," Sarah replied calmly. "I'm fixing it. There's a difference between pushing boundaries and breaking them completely. True innovation doesn't have to be destructive." The head judge, finally realizing the danger, ordered an immediate examination of all competitors' ingredients. Sol's illegal dark matter stock was discovered and confiscated. "This competition is about creativity and connection," Sarah continued, addressing the shocked audience. "Not about who can create the most dangerous drink. Look." She served her universal stability blend to the judges. As each one consumed it, they experienced something remarkable: a perfect harmony between their native biology and the station's energy field. The drink didn't just taste good, it made them feel like they were part of something larger, connected to the very fabric of space itself. The empathic judge struggled for words. It's like drinking pure harmony. Even as security escorts removed a protesting soul, Sarah was already thinking about how to adapt her stabilizing blend for general use. With some modifications, this could help strengthen the containment fields on all space stations, she explained to the judges. Make space travel safer for everyone. The competition was temporarily suspended while the station underwent emergency repairs, but Sarah's quick thinking had prevented a disaster. More importantly, she demonstrated that human ingenuity combined with interstellar knowledge could solve problems no single species could handle alone. Later, in the station's observation lounge, Sarah sat with Lux and Diana, watching Earth rotate slowly below them. You know, Diana mused, when we started the Interspecies coffee program, I never imagined it would lead to revolutionary space station safety measures. That's the thing about coffee, Sarah replied, sipping her latest experiment, a blend that tasted like stardust and hope. It's never just about the drink. It's about bringing out the best in people or beings. The Stellar Council is already requesting the formula for your stabilizing blend, Lux added. They're calling it the Chen Protocol. Sarah laughed. Maybe we should call it the Universal Ground Control Protocol. After all, it started with a little coffee shop in Portland. As they watched a shooting star streak past the window, Sarah reflected on how far she'd come from that first morning when Lux walked into her shop. She'd gone from being a simple barista to potentially revolutionizing space station safety, all because she understood that at its heart, making the perfect drink was about bringing people together. Tomorrow's another round, she said, pulling out her recipe book. I'm thinking of calling my next creation Cosmic Connection. Want to help me test it? Lux's crystalline form glowed warmly. Always. Though perhaps with less reality-altering properties this time. Don't worry, Sarah winked. This one only alters hearts and minds. The old-fashioned way, with really good coffee. Outside, the stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across velvet, and somewhere in the vast darkness between them, new connections were being forged, one cup at a time. Brewing peace, the Galactic Cup Final. The final round of the Intergalactic Beverage Arts Competition arrived with unprecedented fanfare. After Sarah's heroic prevention of the dark matter disaster, she'd become something of a celebrity. Species from across the galaxy had gathered to watch the human who combined coffee with cosmic preservation. The challenge was deceptively simple: create a drink that could unite the galaxy. Only 3 competitors remained: Sarah, a gaseous entity named Aether who created drinks that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and LYSIX-9, a quantum computer in liquid form that calculated perfect flavor combinations. But Sarah had a secret advantage. Her months of experience serving both humans and aliens had taught her something crucial. Unity wasn't about perfection, it was about shared experience. Competitors, you have 4 hours, announced the head judge. Begin. While Aether began manipulating quantum fields and LYSIX-9 ran billions of calculations, Sarah started with something simple. She took out an old, dented coffee can. This, she explained to the watching crowd, contains the last beans harvested by Maria Gonzalez, a 4th-generation coffee farmer who lost her farm to climate change. But before she left, she shared her seeds with farmers across Earth, creating a network of sustainable, community-supported agriculture. As she ground the beans, their aroma filled the arena, causing even the non-organic beings to pay attention. She continued her story. Coffee has always been more than a drink on Earth. It's been a catalyst for revolution, for social change, for connection. Every cup tells a story of cooperation between farmer and land, roaster and bean, barista and customer. She began incorporating elements she'd learned from each species she'd encountered: crystalline harmonics from the Stellarians, quantum stability from her work with station safety, even a touch of dimensional shifting inspired by Aether's techniques. But the real magic, she said, working with precise, practiced movements, isn't in the technical elements. It's in the space between them, the moments of connection they create. The judges watched, fascinated, as she created not just a drink, but an experience. Using techniques learned from her alien customers, she infused the beverage with memories, the warmth of a morning cup shared with friends, the excitement of first contact, the joy of understanding across species. "I call it one cup, one galaxy," she announced. The drink looked deceptively simple, a swirling liquid that shifted colors like an aurora, glowing with inner light. But as each judge sampled it, something remarkable happened. The empathic judge began broadcasting emotions so powerful that everyone in the arena could feel them. The crystalline judge's form resonated with harmonies never before heard. The quantum judge experienced what they described as the perfect calculation of imperfection. But it was the final judge, an ancient being of pure energy, who made the most surprising declaration. "This," they announced, their voice resonating through the station, "tastes like home. Not any specific home, but the feeling of home itself." Ether's multi-dimensional beverage, while technically brilliant, left judges feeling disconnected and confused. ZX9's mathematically perfect drink was flawless but soulless. Sarah's creation did something unprecedented. It adapted to each consumer while maintaining its essential nature. It was simultaneously coffee and not coffee, earth and space, individual and universal. As the judges conferred, Diana appeared at Sarah's side. "The Galactic Council is calling," she whispered. "They want to discuss implementing your brewing techniques as part of diplomatic protocol." Sarah blinked. "Diplomatic protocol? It's just coffee." "Is it?" Lux joined them, their crystalline form glowing with pride. "You've created something that allows different species to share experiences directly. Do you realize what that means for intergalactic relations?" Before Sarah could respond, the head judge called for attention. "In all the cycles of this competition's existence," they began, "we have never seen anything quite like this. Technical excellence combined with emotional resonance, scientific precision with artistic soul, but most importantly, a creation that demonstrates the true purpose of sharing food and drink across species, to remind us that despite our differences, we all share the same fundamental desires: connection, understanding, and community." The announcement of Sarah's victory was met with a ripple of joy that spread through the station like a wave, each species expressing celebration in their own unique way. The crystalline beings chimed in harmony, the gaseous entities swirled in complex patterns, and the energy beings pulsed with rainbow lights. Later, back in the observation lounge, Sarah sat with Lux and Diana, sharing one last cup of her winning blend. "So what happens now?" she asked, watching the swirling lights in her cup mirror the stars outside. "Now," Diana smiled, "we change the galaxy, one cup at a time." "The Stellar Council is already proposing a network of intergalactic coffee shops," Lux added, "places where diplomacy can happen naturally over shared drinks and stories." Sarah thought about her little shop in Portland, where it all began. "Ground Control Galaxy," she suggested with a laugh. "Why not?" Diana was already making notes on her tablet. "We'll need someone to train the first generation of universal baristas." As they talked and planned, Sarah watched Earth spinning slowly below, beautiful and small in the cosmic expanse. She thought about Maria Gonzalez's coffee beans, now part of something larger than anyone could have imagined. About how the simple act of sharing a drink could bridge gaps between stars. "You know," she said, raising her cup, "on Earth we have a tradition called a toast, when we raise our drinks to celebrate or honor something." Lux and Diana raised their cups, the liquid inside glowing like captured starlight. "To coffee diplomacy," Sarah declared. "May it help us find common ground across the universe." "To coffee diplomacy," they echoed, their voices joining countless others across space and time who had found connection in a shared cup of something wonderful. Outside, the stars seemed to twinkle in agreement, as if the universe itself was raising a cosmic cup to the power of human innovation, alien wisdom, and the simple magic of a well-brewed drink. The future brews, a new dawn. 1 year after winning the Intergalactic Beverage Arts competition, Sarah Chen stood in the center of the newly constructed Galactic Ground Control Academy, a sprawling complex floating in Earth's orbit. The facility, designed to train the next generation of cosmic baristas, was a testament to how far a simple cup of coffee could take humanity. "Welcome to Orientation Day," Sarah announced to the diverse group before her. The auditorium was filled with beings from across the galaxy, humans, stellarians, gaseous entities, and species she still couldn't quite classify, all united by a common goal: learning the art of universal beverage crafting. "Some of you might wonder why we're here," she continued, gesturing to the Earth visible through the Academy's massive windows. "Why beings from advanced civilizations would travel light years to learn about a simple Earth drink." She activated a holographic display showing the original ground control coffee shop in Portland. "But what we do here isn't just about coffee. It's about something I learned in that small shop on Earth: the power of shared experiences to bridge any gap, no matter how vast." The first class of the Galactic Barista Academy was an experiment in itself. Sarah had personally selected each student for their unique perspectives and abilities. There was Zara, a human anthropologist fascinated by alien cultures; Quirks, a young stellarian whose crystalline form displayed unusual color patterns; Void Walker Jun, a reformed former associate of Tull who wanted to use their dark energy abilities for creation rather than destruction. "Today," Sarah explained, "we're going to try something new. Each of you will create a drink that represents not your own culture, but one you've learned about from your fellow students." The exercise led to fascinating results. Zara created a crystalline harmonic blend that made stellarians pulse with joy. Quirks crafted a perfectly temperature-controlled human espresso. Jun managed to make a drink that mimicked the way gaseous entities experienced flavor through molecular vibration. As Sarah watched her students work, Lux appeared beside her, their crystalline form even more elaborate than before. They'd been promoted to head of Intergalactic Cultural Exchange. "You've created something remarkable here," Lux observed. "The Academy is already being hailed as one of the most successful diplomatic initiatives in recent galactic history." Sarah smiled, watching a human and a stellarian work together to perfect a quantum-infused latte. Who knew coffee would be humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization? "Not just coffee," Diana added, joining them. She'd traded her government suit for an academy instructor's uniform, but the human ability to turn something simple into something universal, to find connection in the ordinary. The academy had become more than just a training facility. It was a living laboratory of cultural exchange, where species learned not just about beverages, but about each other. The curriculum included everything from traditional Earth brewing methods to advanced quantum flavor theory, from alien biology to the psychology of hospitality across species. Ambassador Chen, a young human student, approached, looking nervous. "We've been working on something we'd like to show you." The student group had created something they called Unity Brew, a drink that combined techniques and ingredients from every represented species. It shifted and changed as it was consumed, offering each being their ideal experience or maintaining a connection to all other versions. "It's based on your winning competition blend," the student explained, "but we added something new. Watch." As different species sampled the drink, a subtle pattern of light and energy connected them, creating a temporary psychic link that allowed them to experience each other's enjoyment. It was connection made visible, understanding made tangible. "Remarkable," Diana breathed. "The diplomatic implications are secondary," Sarah finished. "Look at their faces. They're not thinking about diplomacy or politics. They're just enjoying something wonderful together." That evening, after the students had departed, Sarah stood in the Academy's observation deck, sipping her original house blend from ground control coffee. Earth glowed below, beautiful and small in the cosmic vastness. Lux joined her, their form reflecting the starlight. "What are you thinking about?" "The future," Sarah replied, "and the past." About how everything changed because you walked into my shop that morning. Perhaps it was meant to be, Lux suggested. In all our calculations about first contact, we never considered that the key to understanding would be something as simple as a shared drink. That's the thing about humans, Sarah smiled. We can make something profound out of the simplest things. Every cup of coffee is an opportunity for connection, for understanding, for peace. As if to emphasize her point, a ship of new students arrived, their vessel twinkling against the star-filled background. More beings ready to learn the art of universal hospitality, to spread the message of connection across the galaxy. You know, Sarah said, raising her cup, I think this is just the beginning. Somewhere out there, on some distant world, someone is discovering their own version of coffee, their own way of bringing people together. And someday they'll find their way here to share it with us. Lux's form glowed warmly, and we'll be ready to welcome them with the perfect cup of whatever they need. The Academy floated serenely in space, its windows glowing with the light of 1,000 different drinks being crafted, shared, and enjoyed. Inside, beings from across the universe were learning not just how to make beverages, but how to create moments of connection that transcended species and space. It was more than a school, more than a diplomatic initiative. It was a beacon of hope, broadcasting a simple message across the stars. In this vast, often frightening universe, there was always room for one more at the table, always time for one more cup of something wonderful, always hope for understanding between the most different of beings. And it all started with a simple cup of coffee in a small shop in Portland.